PlayStation's ending physical game production for new releases beginning in January 2028. Existing games and previously scheduled physical releases are not disappearing, and your current discs, they're still going to work. But going forward, PlayStation games will increasingly be purchased as digital downloads only. For some players, this feels like the end of an era, but for me, this feels oh too familiar. I'm old enough to remember VHS, Betamax, cassette tapes, albums, CDs, DVDs, Blu-ray, every format that was eventually replaced. And so while I understand the concern, this change is really nothing new. It may even be long overdue. Today we're going to look at why PlayStation's moving away from physical games, what it means for players, and whether an all-digital future is actually a good thing. The biggest reason Sony can make for this move is simple. Most players already buy games digitally. We open the PlayStation Store, we choose the game, we download it, and we start playing. There's no trip to the store, no disc to scratch, and no cases that are taking up space. No need to swap discs every time you want to change games. Digital downloads are faster, easier, and just simply more convenient. And that same convenience changed music, movies, and television. Streaming replaced most physical movie collections. Music, it moved from records to tapes to CDs to MP3s and eventually streaming. Gaming has been moving in the same direction for years. Sony's not forcing the industry into an unexpected future. It's just responding to how people already buy games. There's also a question of what a physical game disc actually represents today. And years ago, you inserted the game and you played it. Now you may insert a disc and immediately face a massive download. There may be launch day patches, performance updates, downloadable content, additional files needed before the game's actually playable. And in some cases, the version on the disc is incomplete or outdated almost immediately. The disc may still contain much of the game, but it can also act like a physical license telling the console that you own it. And if you still need the internet and a large download and advantage of buying the disc, it just becomes less obvious. And at that point, placing data onto a disc, packaging it in plastic, and shipping it all over the world, it's just unnecessarily complicated. This is the normal cycle of technology. VHS replaced earlier home video formats and then disappeared when DVD arrived. And DVD was replaced by Blu-ray, and Blu-ray was pushed aside by streaming. Cassette tapes replaced records for many people, and then CDs replaced those cassettes, and then MP3s and streaming replaced the CDs. Some older formats survive as collectibles. Vinyl records are popular again, but they're no longer the primary way that most people actually listen to music. The same thing will probably happen with physical gaming. Collectors will continue buying them, but rare releases, they will become more valuable. Limited editions will still have an audience, but the physical game itself will no longer be the default. Technology usually moves toward whatever is easiest for the largest number of people. And right now, that's digital distribution. From Sony's perspective, the benefits are obvious. Digital games do not require discs, cases, printing, warehouses, or shipping. There's no unsold inventory sitting on store shelves. Sony can sell a game directly through its own platform, and that gives the company more control and likely reduces costs. Digital releases can also make it easier for smaller developers to distribute games without needing to manufacture physical copies. So as a business decision, it makes sense. The bigger question is really whether it is also good for the consumer. And this is where the concerns become more serious. A physical game can be sold, traded, borrowed, or given away. You can buy a used copy and you can lend it to a friend. When you finish it, you can sell it and use the money toward your next game. Digital games don't work that way. They're tied to your account and to the platform. You can't place a digital game on eBay, and you can't trade it at the local game store. You just can't hand it to a friend for the weekend. You're paying for access through a system controlled by Sony, and that does not mean your games are about to disappear, but it does mean the player has less control. An all-digital market also gives Sony greater influence over the pricing. With physical games, retailers can compete. One store may discount a game, another may have clearance stock. Used copies create another lower-cost option. In a digital marketplace, those choices are less available, right? Sales happen when the platform decides to offer them, and that's where convenience turns into control. There's also the issue of preserving older games. Games are just part of our culture. They contain artwork, music, stories, and technology from a particular moment in time. Physical discs are not a perfect preservation solution. Some games require servers, others require patches, but a disc still gives collectors, libraries, and preservation groups something tangible to archive. In an all-digital world, a game may disappear because of expired licenses, closed servers, or a storefront decision. A publisher can stop selling a title even when players still want it. The gaming industry needs a better long-term solution for digital ownership. Players should be able to continue accessing games that they've purchased, and games should have offline options whenever possible. There should also be ways to preserve important titles after official support ends. Digital distribution may be inevitable. Digital disappearance should not be. Sony's decision also gives us a clue about the future of PlayStation hardware. Future consoles may not include a built-in disk drive. Sony could offer an optional external drive for older games, or it could eventually move completely away from the physical media altogether. Either way, the direction is clear. The physical game section at the stores will continue getting smaller. Collectors may start paying closer attention to the games that they want to keep. And older PlayStation titles could become more desirable once new physical production ends. Ironically, announcing the death of discs may make people more interested in collecting them. I don't think moving to digital is automatically a bad thing. It is convenient, it reduces manufacturing and shipping, and it allows developers to distribute games more easily. It matches the way that most people already play. And honestly, physical gaming has been partly digital for years because of updates, downloads, and online requirements. But Sony should not use convenience as an excuse to remove consumer choice. Players need reliable access to the games that they purchase, and they need fair pricing. They need confidence that their digital libraries will remain available, and the industry needs a serious plan for game preservation. And those are more important questions than whether a game comes inside of a plastic case. The end of a PlayStation game disc is important, but it should not be surprising. We have watched this happen with VHS, cassette tapes, CDs, DVDs, and Blu-ray. Every generation believes its preferred format will just last forever, but it never does. The physical game disc was always going to disappear eventually, and considering how most games are purchased, updated, and played today, that change may be long overdue. The real debate is not physical versus digital, it's ownership versus access. And will an all-digital future make gaming easier and more affordable, or will it give platform owners too much control over our games, our libraries, and the prices that we pay? And that's the question PlayStation players should be asking before 2028.